Can you see this? This is a classic ninja ukiyo-e print. Ukiyo-e is basically an other period woodblock print. Think of it like a poster from back then. What? You can't see it. Rub your eyes and look again. Still nothing? Right, you're not supposed to see anything because there's nothing here. There's never been ninja ukiyo-e, not under the name ninja. There's a dragon, tiger, oni, even a guy holding a severed head, but no ninja. Isn't that weird? Ninja's like one of the most famous Japanese character in the world right now. Konnichiwa, Yoshi desu. Wait, what? Ninja were a weird thing, thought. I thought they were super old. I know, they actually existed. That's what you're thinking, right? You're right. Shinobi were real people. They were actual historical intelligence agents, spies. Totally different from that black suit guy we picture when we hear ninja. Think Cold War CIA agent. The whole point was not being seen. Since the 1300s, in Europe terms, that's like late medieval 100 years war era. But that image we all have in our heads, black outfit, hood, throwing stars, that's totally different stories. Because that name, the word ninja, didn't even exist back then. Okay, more on that later. First, let's talk about why there's no artworks of them at all. The Edo period runs roughly from 1603 to 1868. The Tokugawa family, a samurai clan, ran the show, and it was this long stretch of peace. Basically, no war. In Western terms, that overlap with like the enlightenment through the Industrial Revolution. Ukiyo-e was a market with a really fixed genres. Beautiful woman print, kabuki actor print, warrior print. But there's no ninja category in there at all. Kabuki, that's treasure Japanese theater. Basically the blockbuster movies of the time. Actually the shinobi existed. There just wasn't a way to draw them yet. It's not that artists were lazy. There was just nothing to draw. But samurai though, this is the funny part. Nobody drew ninja, but they went absolutely not drawing samurai and tattooing them. In 1827, an artist named Kuniyoshi put out a series of warrior paints, and it flipped the whole city of Edo upside down. One of the most famous artists of the era, think Marvel Comics Rebel illustrator today. People would take the print, walk into the tattoo shop, and go, ink this exact samurai on my back. Back then, tattoo artists were called horishi. Same concept as a tattooist today. Firefighter, palanquin bearers, gamblers. Actual samurai weren't even allowed to have tattoos. So the people who could never be samurai put samurai on their own skin instead. People tattooed the 47 Ronin, even prints of the warrior holding an enemy's severed head. The 47 Ronin is basically Japan's most famous revenge story. Their lord was killed unfairly, so 47 samurai waited years, got their revenge, and then all committed ritual suicide together, based on the true story. In the West, that's like a Count of Monte Cristo level legendary. These guys were all flashy, muscular bodies, armor patterns, robes flowing in the wind, dragons, and tigers. The art itself was just gorgeous. So it wasn't a lack of designs. Samurai designs were everywhere, but ninja design didn't exist.
Like, subscribe.
Okay, it's not that ninja designs never existed at all. There are actually two ukiyo-e prints that look like they've got ninja in them. In English, one's titled Kabuki Ninja, the other's Prince Genji with Ninja. With so there is a ninja? Doesn't that break everything I just said? You might be thinking that, but the original titles say something else. Prince Genji with Ninja, its real title is Imagenji Nishikie Awase, which reads as Imagenji Nishikie Awase. That means something like Modern Genji Silk Print Contest. It's from a print series based on best-selling fantasy novel Nisei Murasaki Inaka Genji. And Kabuki Ninja, that one doesn't even have an original title. It's just portrait of a Kabuki actor. The kind of with an actor, weird name, and role written in the corner. A totally normal actor poster for the time. So the word ninja itself never appeared in either original title. It couldn't have. The pronunciation ninja didn't even existed yet. That pronunciation only shows up in the 1950s. Basically, the English-speaking word slapped the name on later. Western Museum and Database added it just to help Western collectors understand what they were looking at. Neither of these is an actual ninja. One's a scene from a fantasy novel, the other just a kabuki actor on stage. So like I said, there's never been a ukiyo-e with the actual name ninja on it. So here's the question. Why didn't people touch this image? Two reasons, really. One's about image. Remember the samurai we talked about, flesh, righteous heroes. But this black-clad character in the story was almost always the cowardly villain sneaking up on the heroes. What other people wanted on their skin was the hero who protects me, not random bad guy lurking in the shadows. The other reason, honestly, the visual just wasn't that good. Muscular, armor, dragons, tigers, samurai were flesh, right? But black-clad character, it's just black, head to toe. Tattoo it on back, and it's just like big black blob. Other people cared a lot about flair. This aesthetic called Iki. This image was just exact opposite of that. But that's the fictional character explanation. The real reason goes back to actual shinobi. The reason people tattooed samurai is simple. They wanted to show off, like, this is who I am. Samurai philosophy itself was built around the heroic death. Whether it was a ritual suicide or dying in battle, dying beautifully was the honorable thing. So there was a clear identity worth putting on your body. But if people tried to tattoo a shinobi, there was nothing there to tattoo. For shinobi, dying wasn't honorable at all. Coming back alive was the honorable thing. Because not getting caught meant the mission success. A shinobi's whole identity was about not being seen. One permanent mark on their body, and it was over. The second, and took your clothes off at the bathhouse, your identity was blown. And then there's the other firefighter and palanquin bearers. Running straight into fire was their whole source of pride. Sneaking around and stabbing people in the back just didn't match their whole vibe. So in one line, samurai were an identity people wanted to wear. Ninja, from the start, had no identity to wear at all. But if that's the logic, every ninja tattoo people get in the West right now is doing the exactly opposite thing. So is that wrong? I've got thoughts on that, but I'll get to it in a bit. First, one more thing. If you've watched Naruto, you're probably arguing with me right now. Naruto, this is a huge Japanese anime. It's about ninja, a massive hit worldwide. Oh, what about Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru? Those are all ninja. I can feel the side eye through the screen. And yeah, fair. But here's the fun part. All three of them have a ukiyo-e print. See, there's a real there. But none of these three were real people. And none of them were originally ninja. They're a character from fantasy novel The Tale of the Gallant Jiraiya, which started in 1839. Fantasy novels back then were basically Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings of their day. Everybody read it, everybody loved it, a total national story. Jiraiya's a bandit hero with thought magic. Tsunade's his wife with the slug magic. And Orochimaru, the former prince, possessed by a snake spirit who betrayed them. Snake is Toad. Toad is Slug. Slug merged Snake. It's straight out of an old rock paper siege. So Naruto never actually depicted real historical ninja. It just took character from the Edo period fantasy novel and slapped the raver ninja on them. Kind of funny, right? A lot of the images we call ninja today were never ninja to begin with. They got rebranded as a ninja. It happens in the Edo period, and it's happening again right now with Naruto. Okay, let's bring back that question from earlier. Is it wrong for people in the West get ninja tattoos? My text is no. I actually think this might be a birth of a brand new design. Actually, it's already happened. This isn't some bullshit attempt at recreating the past. The West's fascination with Japan is literally creating something new. And honestly, I think that's a really good thing. Tattooing isn't just about copying tradition exactly. Okay, back to Jiraiya. I mentioned earlier he wasn't originally a ninja, just a taught wizard. But now, through Naruto, he becomes a ninja and even picked up new meanings straight from a kanji, which literally means to endure. If someone gets a ninja tattoo today, there's not focusing something foreigner into Irashimi that was never there. There's just adding a latest version to this old pattern of something become a ninja all over again. Nin, endure. It used to be a name of a spy, then a fantasy hero, and now it's becoming the name for anyone who endures.
Like, subscribe.
お疲れ様でした。